Hello, I am Benedictine on Chessable, community author of the Common Chess Patterns, Visualised series, Blunderbusters, Nightfoot Trainers and many others, and also the writer of Murder Mystery Comedy in the Laverne and Brown series, available on Amazon. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing this book, Woodpecker Method 2, which I got a couple of weeks ago and I started with yesterday. I'm going to be discussing the major flaw in this book, how to get around it, and how I'm actually studying with it myself. Also, I'll be discussing the rating range I think this book's appropriate for, as well as one or two other things. So in the position there on the screen, this is from position 10, which is basically a random position I've picked out for you, just so you can see the sort of thing that the book is going to give you, certainly in the early chapters, and I'll share that solution with you shortly. So if you have been living under a rock for the last 5 or 6 years and you don't know what the Woodpecker Method is, where the hell have you been? The first book was a runaway success. The second book, I'm not sure how long this book's been out. I don't think that long, and it's not had many reviews on Amazon, but I never trust the Amazon reviews anyway, because I mean, look at this one. Like, it's actually, right, you know, if Axel Smith, Grandmaster Axel Smith, is in charge of the postal service, or he works for Amazon in Brazil, then he is to blame for that, absolutely 100%, but I don't think he is. The idea behind the Woodpecker Method is you get a massive amount of puzzles. There's 1,000 in the first book, I'm pretty sure. There's 1,000 in this one, for sure, and you work through these puzzles over and over again until that you can get instant recognition. So first things first then, what about the book? What about the structure? What about the feel? What about the layout? That sort of thing. Well, Quality Chess do produce quality books. They do live up to the name, and this book is no different. You get crisp diagrams, 6 per page, which is a really nice layout, I think. I think 6 on one page, which is, you know, this sort of size book, works really well. You get the solutions at the back, which is also good because you don't really want them on the same page. The only slight drawback is that on the solution pages, sometimes you've got more than 6 solutions, so you might have like 7 or 8, and then you have to sort of cover the bottom of the page, but it's no massive drawback. What about the source material? All of the positions come from world champion Grandmaster games, world champions, from Steinetz right up to Magnus Carlsen, and I think that is pretty good. I don't think it's essential to study Grandmaster games as an amateur player, but I do think it's a good idea that you can actually go beyond the puzzle if you want to, and you can easily find these source material games if you want to go beyond the puzzle and look how the game played out. So let's quickly look at this position then, just to give you an idea of the sort of thing you will find in this book. Obviously they're all positional concepts, but you should also look out for tactics as well, as you would do in a real game. Position number 10, the idea is if you castle, then white gets in d5, which is better for white, and really what you want to be playing in this position is d5, right, preventing d5 for white. And a sample line that is given is you have to consider bishop a3, sacking this bishop, because putting pressure on the knight with the pin. And this is the line that's given in the book. So you don't have to find all of the solution. If you got the sort of the first move, if you got d5 with the idea of preventing d5, then that is like, you give yourself half a mark as recommended in the book. But if you got the full analysis, if you did consider this move, bishop a3, which, you know, looks pretty difficult for probably a lot of players, then you give yourself another half mark and give yourself a full mark. But you didn't have to see as far as this, because it says in the book there are many good moves playable for black in this position, but I think for a full mark, a full point, you probably had to have a look at this line. It's bishop a3. Another review somewhere else, which wasn't, you know, criticising the postal service in Brazil, was actually talking about the book. And one criticism that you could argue that for lower level players or lower intermediates, post beginners, you know, this prevent d5 because white shouldn't be allowed to gain space, it might not be enough for them to sort of grasp the concept. But in that case, you could set the position up, or they could set the position up to an engine and play around with the, you know, the actual solution, or they could look through the real game, what was played in the game, and realise how that could be better. But yeah, that could be a flaw in the book, but I don't think so. I agree with the author, actually. I think that in order for this book to be successful, where you have a volume of positions, 1,000 positions, position solution, to get the general ideas in your head, I think you have to cut off the analysis at some point. And if you are a stronger player, which probably this book's aimed at, or at least a middle intermediate player, then most of these concepts you will go, oh yeah, stop that stops that break, that stops this gaining space, this controls a key square, this allows us to get a knight to e4, and you can sort of get that sort of position for the vast majority of them anyway. For that reason, I probably put the rating range for this book starting at probably around about 1400 over the board. Right, let's discuss the flow. I don't have any argument at all with the structure, the layout of the book, the premise of the book. The premise of the book for me is how a chess book should look. It is amazing. You have the 1,000 positions and solutions, and I've always believed that that's just what you need in a chess book for the general player. Position, solution, burn the patterns into your head. The issue with this is the method just doesn't follow any sort of scientific backing in terms of the structure of what they recommend. So what you're supposed to do is do a number of puzzles over a 4-week period, as many as you can manage. You can balance with your commitments and your work-life commitments. If it's 300, it's 300, 400, 1,000, whatever. And then after you've done the 4-week period, take a day off for some rest. That's a good idea. Do them again, but try and reduce the time in half. So if you did, 500 puzzles in 4 weeks, you try and do the 500 puzzles in 2 weeks, and then you take a day off again and then do it in a week, and then 3.5 days, and so on and so forth, until you can do all the puzzles in one sitting. The problem I've got with that is it doesn't take into account how our brains actually work, and in terms of the forgetting curve at all. So if you did that, if you studied 500 positions in a month, right, when you come to do them again, you'll have forgot 95% of them. So you spend a month intensely looking at 500 positions in order to memorize 25. Doesn't make any sense. Not all as bad as that, because through the frequent repetitions after that, you will aid memory, but it's just going about it the wrong way. Rather than increasing the positions that you study and increasing the frequency in which you study them, you should be decreasing them. Now, that's the point. What do you want to do? Do you want to put these positions and these concepts into your head and into your chess playing habits in the short term? If so, then follow the advice in here. But if you're looking to convert these concepts into your longer term memory and your chess storage brain, then you want to be doing the regular spaced repetition over decreasing periods of time. Alright, so overall, would I recommend this book? Yes. I think this book, just after looking at it for one day, but I get the idea, I totally get it. I did get the concept before. The book is incredible. I do recommend this, particularly if you're over 1400, 1500, 1600 maybe, going beyond. And I think the idea of putting patterns into your head, positional patterns, is something that's a lot rarer than tactical patterns, and I do buy into the premise of this book. It is incredible, apart from the recommended frequency intervals, which goes about it the wrong way around. So I would put this book on a regular spaced repetition schedule. So how I'm working with this book, I'm writing down my answers on a page of A4, checking with the solutions, and I'm marking my actual scores as I go along, but I'm following my own repetition. Whereas yesterday I looked at 36 positions, so this morning I'm going to recap those positions straight away before doing another 30-40 positions, whatever I managed to fit in. As ever, it's always a balance between, like on Chessable, taking on new material and doing reviews, but I'm looking at a schedule of 24 hours, 48 hours, 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, month, 3 months, 6 months, and then keep going back to the book time and time again. So to convert the positions and the ideas into long-term storage. That is the theory anyway. My study plan going forward is to use this book as well as Common Chess Patterns and the Lev Albert tactical books, combine them both using spaced repetition in the correct way, and let's see how that goes. Let's see if that can push me towards my rating goals, which is heading towards 2000. And if you've got this book, what do you think about it? Are you enjoying it? Are you getting something from it yourself? Have you noticed an increase in your positional understanding? Thanks for watching the review. Don't forget, thumbs up and all of that business. Goodbye.